By the way, thanks for the great attendance today, much appreciated, and the warm welcome we've received from Bulgaria and Ireland. Thank you.
Благодаря на всички, че посетихме тази пресконференция и благодаря също за топлото посрещане в България.
Насам малко, да.
Браво! Айо!
There you have it. Kubrat Pulev and Hughie Fury meet face-to-face for the first time at a press conference in Bulgaria. It was the first official event to promote their IBF World Title Eliminator on October 27th in Sofia, Bulgaria. And the footage you're seeing, it was streamed from Kubrat Pulev's Facebook page, presumably by the same camera operator that filmed The Blair Witch Project. And if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Obviously, the presser was in Bulgarian, so I can't really use that for an English-speaking audience, but Pulev, thankfully, he's released a statement detailing his thoughts on the event. So I'll get to that first, and then some actual footage of Fury from the press conference, and a statement that his team has made, and then I'll give a few thoughts. Buckle in. Let's go. So Kubrat Pulev says that Hughie Fury may be the future of a heavyweight, but first he has to go through me, and that's not gonna happen. There will only be one winner in Sofia, and I think this winner will be me. God only knows. Perhaps God has already planned what will happen. It cost us a lot of effort to organise this match in Bulgaria. It took us a long time. A lot of opponents gave up because they didn't want to come to Sofia. But I kept boxing in front of my native audience. I love all people, but Bulgarians have a special place in my heart because my blood is Bulgarian. On whether his hometown support will help get him through this fight and make him stronger, Pulev says, not just stronger, the energy that people are giving me from the stands will make my hits killer. I'm focused as much as I can. I'm fully committed to what's coming, but no pressure. There is no tension in me. Just waiting. I can't wait for the time to finally get in the ring. I can't underestimate Fury. He's young, promising, working hard, has a solid team behind his back and can be very dangerous. The British School of Boxing is now one of the best in the world. However, I have over 300 amateur games behind my back and not a few meetings in the pros. I didn't just lose to Vladimir Klitschko, I have other losses that I've been through and from which I learned, and I have moved forward already more experienced and stronger. Those were Kubrat Pulev's statements in regards to his upcoming fight with Hughie Fury. And Fury himself, his role at the press conference was limited, and that was presumably because of the language barrier. But here's what he did have to say.
Like I say, I'm in camp now, no phones, no girlfriends, no nothing. Fully boxing. Like I say, no distractions. It's 100% because I believe my dreams will come true. I've fulfilling them. So, like I say to you, I won't stop into anything until I get there. And that's what I'm doing. Yeah, and as well, in the amateurs, I've won pretty much amateur titles, and then I won the World Amateur Youth Contest. I had 5 fights and won a gold medal. So everything in the amateurs, I had 5 fights in Armenia, and I beat all good fighters in the amateurs. So I achieved everything there, and then when I was an 18-year-old, I decided to turn professional and learn my trade properly as a pro.
Hennessy Sports has also issued a statement in the wake of the press conference saying, gutsy British heavyweight champion Hughie Fury has described his decision to take on Kubrat Pulev in front of the hard-hitting Bulgarians' home crowd as a no-brainer. People might look at me and ask, what is he thinking fighting over there? It's such a risk. But that's not how I see it. For me, this is a massive opportunity, and I plan to make the most of it. A couple of guys in the division have ducked Pulev, but that tells you he's a dangerous opponent. Listen, I'm prepared to fight anyone, anywhere in the world, and these are the fights that I want. I want big fights, and I want to take over the heavyweight division. That's what I believe I can do. Fighting outside the UK doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, there are only 2 people in the ring, so it doesn't matter where the fight is taking place. There's no pressure on my side. If anything, there's more pressure for him to perform in his own backyard. He is a good boxer and has lots of experience, but he has to bring it all when he faces me. I'm looking forward to the challenge. In my last fight against Sam Sexton, I didn't get out of second gear. This time fans will see a different Hughie Fury. To all my fans who have supported me from day one, on October 27th you are going to see a spectacular performance, and it will be a brilliant night to remember. Those were Hughie Fury statements in a press release issued by Hennessy Sports. Maybe from what he's saying there is we're going to be treated to some more shades of Ali, as Mick Hennessy famously described after Hughie Fury's performance in a loss against Joseph Parker. But seriously though, Fury, I think he's right when he says there's a lot of pressure on Kubrat Pulev. He'll have the weight of a nation on his shoulders heading into that fight, and he'll probably know that this is his last run to a title shot. If he loses, it's a long way to come back, another sort of a couple of year rebuild. By then he'd be sort of pushing 40. But now you throw in that he is also 37. He hasn't had a lot of fights in the past few years. He hasn't had a fight in 18 months. And even before that, he was relatively inactive since his loss to Vladimir Klitschko in 2014. The pressure to perform, the pressure to win on Kubrat Pulev, it will be immense. And certainly he was trying to play it down a bit. He was at pains to point out he's under no pressure, he's under no tension. But I'm convinced that he's certainly aware that there is expectation, a lot of it. And no doubt he's also putting some pressure on himself to deliver. I mean, all fighters do. Fury, for his part, he's at least trying to turn what he perceives to be pressure on the Bulgarian into a mental advantage for himself. I mean, whether there's a real or perceived mental edge there, I mean, who knows? But I also believe there's a certain degree of pressure on Fury as well. I mean, after all, his team call him the uncrowned world champion. So, you know, he's also got to look good and look to perform. He was also promising to go up another gear, deliver a spectacular performance. And he was saying for the Sam Sexton fight, he was in second gear. And in that fight, he was certainly more aggressive than in previous fights. And he did walk away with a highlight reel knockout. So are we to take it that possibly if he can go up that gear, so we'll call it third gear, does that mean a knockout for Hughie Fury is coming? And he sounds like he's expecting to really turn it on, deliver a spectacular performance and potentially dominate Pulev. I mean, who knows if he can actually do that? I mean, is it going to be a sort of, you know, movement fest? He'll have the trainers on and be running all night. I think that's what a lot of fight fans are expecting. A lot of people don't like Hughie Fury's style. You know, that sort of style does turn them off. But we did see, you know, a bit of a turn in that Sexton fight. But then again, the opposition in Sexton, he was always expected to win. And Fury talking up a spectacular performance, well, fighters are going to say these sorts of things. Both these guys said a number of things that you were expecting them to say. So when they say them, you're kind of not surprised. But certainly a knockout in this fight for Hughie Fury, it will take the judges out of the equation, because some fans have certainly been questioning whether Hughie Fury can get a fair suck of the sav in Bulgaria and get a decision. If he boxes like the Joseph Parker fight, he won't. But if he boxes more like the Sexton fight, well, then it's possible. But then again, if he boxes like the Sexton fight, he could also get a knockout. But you'd have to imagine now that training camp will be getting fully underway, that fitness, surely it's got to be a key focus. Fury is surely going to need to, you know, fight at a decent clip. He's going to need to push Pulev, keep him occupied throughout the rounds, make him work, use his movement, and really put Pulev's 37-year-old legs to the test. And Pulev and his team, I'm sure they're going to anticipate this anyway, and they're going to make sure that he comes in tip-top shape. And he always looks in shape when you do see him. But at 37, you know, Is he going to have some stamina issues? What's left? We don't know. He's been so inactive. It's hard to get a read on Kubrat Pulev and where he's really at. But certainly the younger guy, Hughie Fury, he should be pushing Pulev in this fight. Make sure that he's pushing the pace. But it will be interesting to see how the remainder of this build-up unfolds, because both these guys, they aren't really trash talkers. And I know we saw in the Joseph Parker fight, there were a few things that Fury said on social media, and it was more cringy rather than psychological warfare of any description. But, it'll be interesting to see if anything comes up. We saw at the presser, it was very cordial. There seemed to be very little beef between the two. In the face-off, it was a good one. But it was more a battle of wills as opposed to any real tension. It was just, no one wanted to look away first. And it was a good face-off. What did you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.